for my sister's birthday party? Because if so, I'm pretty sure they're all upstairs. Oh. You just came from there. Oh, they're getting ready to play Truth or Dare. Not your thing, huh? I don't blame you. It's not my thing either. It's probably why I'm down here instead of up there. Oh, I was actually just getting ready to read a book by the fireplace. It's a Throne of Glass, a fantasy from Sarah J. Maas. Have you ever read it? No. Have you ever read any Sarah J. Maas? No. She's pretty good. She's not my favorite, no, but she's up there for sure. Brandon Sanderson is probably my favorite at the minute. He wrote the Mistborn trilogy. Oh, it's so good. I love it. You've never read it? Oh, promise me you'll go check it out. Do you like fantasy? Do you read? You do? Okay, yeah, you should totally check it out. Okay, good. Well, I appreciate that. That makes me feel better that you'll check it out. Alright, well, I'm gonna get to my book. You want me to read you the first chapter? I mean, I guess I'm gonna read it anyway, so. But why don't you, make yourself comfortable and I'll start. Sound good? Alright, cool. After a year of slavery in the salt mines of Endovir, Selena Sardathian was accustomed to being escorted everywhere in shackles and at sword point. Most of the thousands of slaves in Endovir received similar treatment, though an extra half-dozen guards always walked Selena to and from the mines. That was expected by Aderlin's most notorious assassin. What she did not usually expect, however, was a hooded man in black at her side, as there was now. He gripped her arm as he led her through the shining building in which most of Endovir's officials and overseers were housed. They strode down corridors, up flights of stairs, and around, until she hadn't the slightest chance of finding her way out again. At least, that was what her escort's intention, because she hadn't failed to notice when they went up and down the same staircase within a matter of minutes, nor had she missed when they zigzagged between levels, even though the building was a standard grid of hallways and stairwells. As if she'd lose her bearings that easily. She might have been insulted if he wasn't trying so hard. They entered a particularly long hallway, silent save for their footsteps. Though the man grasping her arm was tall and fit, she could see nothing of the features concealed beneath his hood. Another tactic meant to confuse and intimidate her. The black clothes were probably a part of it too. His head shifted in her direction, and Selena flashed him a grin. He looked forward again, his iron grip tightening. It was flattering, she supposed, even if she didn't know what was happening or why he'd been waiting for her outside the mine shaft. After a day of cleaving rock salt from the innards of the mountains, finding him standing there with 6 guards hadn't improved her mood. But her ears had pricked when he'd introduced himself to her overseer as Cale Westfall, captain of the Royal Guard, and suddenly the sky loomed, the mountains pushed from behind, and even the earth swelled toward her knees. She hadn't tasted fear in a while, hadn't let herself taste fear. When she awoke every morning, she repeated the same words, "I will not be afraid." For a year, those words had meant the difference between breaking and bending. They had kept her from shattering in the darkness of the mines. Not that she'd let the captain know any of that. Selena examined the gloved hand holding her arm. The dark leather almost matched the dirt on her skin. She adjusted her torn and filthy tunic with her free hand and held in her sigh. Entering the mines before sunrise and departing after dusk, she rarely glimpsed the sun. She was frightfully pale within the dirt. It was true that she had been attractive once, beautiful even, but, well, it didn't matter now, did it? They turned down another hallway, and she studied the stranger's finely crafted sword. Its shimmering pommel was shaped like an eagle mid-flight. Noticing her stare, his gloved hand descended to rest upon its golden head. Another smile tugged at the corner of her lips. "You're a long way from Riff, old captain," she said, clearing her throat. "Did you come with the army I heard thumping around earlier?" She peered into the darkness beneath his hood, but saw nothing. Still, she felt his eyes upon her face, judging, weighing, testing. She stared right back. The captain of the Royal Guard would be an interesting opponent, maybe even worthy of some effort on her part. Finally, the man raised his sword hand, and the folds of his cloak fell to conceal the blade. As his cloak shifted, she spied the golden wyvern embroidered on his tunic, the royal seal. "What do you care for the armies of Adoulin?" he replied. How lovely it was to hear a voice like her own, cool and articulate, even if he was a nasty brute. "Nothing," she said, shrugging. He let out a low growl of annoyance. Oh, it'd be nice to see his blood spill across the marble. She'd lost her temper once before. Once. When her first overseer chose the wrong day to push her too hard. She still remembered the feeling of embedding the pickaxe into his gut and the stickiness of his blood on her hands and face. She could disarm 2 of these guards in a heartbeat. Would the captain fare better than her late overseer? Contemplating the potential outcomes, she grinned at him again. "Don't you look at me like that," he warned, and his hand drifted back toward his sword. Selena hid her smirk this time. They passed a series of wooden doors that she'd seen a few minutes ago. If she wanted to escape, she simply had to turn left at the next hallway and take the stairs down 3 flights. The only thing all the intended disorientation had accomplished was to familiarize her with the building. Idiots. "Where are we going again?" she said sweetly, brushing a strand of her matted hair from her face. When he didn't reply, she clenched her jaw. The halls echoed too loudly for her to attack him without alerting the whole building. She hadn't seen where he'd put the key. Tar irons and the 6 guards who trailed them would be nuisances. Not to mention the shackles. They entered a hallway hung with iron chandeliers. Outside, the windows lined the wall. Night had fallen, lanterns kindled so bright they offered few shadows to hide in. From the courtyard, she could hear the other slaves shuffling toward the wooden building where they slept. The moans of agony amongst the clank of chains made a chorus as familiar as the dreary work songs they sang all day. The occasional solo of the whip added to the symphony of brutality Adoulin had created for its greatest criminals, poorest citizens, and latest conquests. While some of the prisoners were people accused of attempting to practice magic, not that they could, given that magic had vanished from the kingdom. These days, more and more rebels arrived at Endovier. Most were from Elwy, one of the last countries still fighting Adoulin's rule. But when she pestered them for news, many just stared at her with empty eyes, already broken. She shuddered to consider what they'd endured at the hands of Adoulin's forces. Some days she wondered if they would have been better off dying on the butchering blocks instead. And if she might have been better off dying that night she'd been betrayed and captured too. But she had other things to think about as they continued their walk. Was she finally to be hanged? Sickness coiled in her stomach. She was important to warrant an execution from the captain of the Royal Guard himself. But why bring her inside this building first? At last they stopped before a set of red and gold glass doors, so thick that she couldn't see through them. Captain Westfall jerked his chin at the 2 guards standing on either side of the doors, and they stomped their spears in greeting. The captain's grip tightened until it hurt. He yanked Selena closer, but her feet seemed made of lead, and she pulled against him. "You'd rather stay in the mines?" he asked, sounding faintly amused. "Perhaps if I were told what this was all about, I wouldn't feel so inclined to resist. You'll find out soon enough." and sweaty. Yes, she was going to die. It had come at last. The doors groaned open to reveal a throne room. A glass chandelier shaped like a grapevine occupied most of the ceiling, splitting seeds of diamond fire into the windows alongside the far side of the room. Compared to the bleakness outside those windows, the opulence felt like a slap to the face, a reminder of how much they profited from her labor. And here, the captain of the guard growled and shoved her with his free hand, finally releasing her. Selena stumbled, her calloused feet slipping on the smooth floor as she straightened herself. She looked back to see another 6 guards appear. 14 guards plus the captain. The gold royal emblem embroidered on the breast of black uniforms. These were members of the royal family's personal guard. Ruthless, lightning-swift soldiers trained from birth to protect and kill. She swallowed tightly. Light-headed and immensely heavy all at once, Selena faced the room. On an ornate redwood throne sat a handsome young man. Her heart stopped as everyone bowed. She was standing in front of the crowned prince of Adarlan. Crazy. So the back says, 2 men love her. The whole land fears her. Only she can save them all. In a world without magic, an assassin is summoned to the castle. She comes not to kill the vicious king who rules from his throne of glass, but to win her freedom. If she defeats 23 killers, thieves, and warriors in a competition, she will be released from prison to serve as the king's champion. Her name is Selena Sardathian. The crown prince will provoke her, the captain of the guard will protect her, and a princess from a faraway land will befriend her. But something evil dwells in the castle, and it's there to kill. When her competitors start dying one by one, Selena's fight for freedom becomes a fight for survival and a desperate quest to root out the evil before it destroys.